Hungry ghosts. Think as follows. At this time, I have not been reborn in hell. But if I were born a hungry ghost, I would be so tormented by intolerable sufferings. Heat, cold, hunger, thirst, exhaustion and fear. The place of hungry ghost. Rebirth has absolutely no grass, trees, or water. The whole ground is desolate, as if scorched by the sun. The bodies and limbs of hungry ghosts are most ungainly. Their heads and faces are wrinkled, and their necks extremely thin, and unable to support their heads. They have huge bodies, and an uneven number of legs and arms, which are as thin as stalks, and unable to support them. They have 100 times, or 1,000 times more difficulty in walking than old people do in our human realm. Starved ghosts realm where greedy, selfish and deceitful souls are reborn. In the path of hungry ghosts, beings have ugly, smelly bodies, with bellies as big as drums, and throats as small as needles, while flames shoot out of their mouths. They are subject to hunger and thirst for incalculable eons. According to the Buddhism doctrine, envy, greed, and jealousy are factors lead to rebirth. As a hungry ghost, hungry ghosts suffer torment of hunger, because their bellies are immense, but their mouths only as small as a needle. Besides, they are also subject to various other tortures, because when they try to put food into their mouth, it appears to them to be fire, or pus, or blood. However, the 10 Dharma realms are not apart from a single thought. This one thought creates the 10 Dharma realms, or all is created from the present thought of the mind. By doing hellish things, you will fall into the hells. By acting like a ghost, you fall into the realm of ghosts. By acting like a human being, you can become a person. By behaving as an Asura, you are reborn in the realm of Asuras. If you do the deeds of Arhats, you join the ranks of Arhats. If you do the work of Bodhisattvas, you become part of the retinue of Bodhisattvas. If you perform the deeds of Buddhas, then you will become a Buddha. So this is all created from the present thought of your mind. Naturally speaking, if you plant good causes, you will receive good effects. If you plant bad causes, you will receive bad effects. If you plant melons, you will get melons. If you plant beans, you will get beans. However, on the contrary, ghosts are so deluded about causes and effects. They plant eggplant in the hope of harvesting beans, or plant hot pepper and anticipate harvesting cucumbers. The Sanskrit term, preta, means hungry spirits, which is one of the 3 lower destinies. They are also called needle-mouthed ghosts, with mouths so small that they cannot satisfy their hunger or thirst. They are of varied classes, and are in differing degrees and kinds of suffering, some wealthy and light torment, others possessing nothing and in perpetual torment. Some are jailers and executioners of Yama in the hells, others wander to and fro amongst men, especially at night. According to Bhikkhu Kantipalo, hungry means experiencing constantly unsatisfied cravings. And preta is a kind of being, which is below man in the spiritual scale. With greed, sentient beings sum to the state of pretas. Think of people whose attachments to money and material possessions are very strong. The misers of this world are those who rejoice in having more, better and bigger things than other people. Such people are developing factors of mind, which if they persist in them, will lead them to uprise among these hungry ghosts. According to Buddhism, ordinary love or desire as eager as that of a hungry ghost, in contrast with religious love, or bodhisattva love with desire, to save all creatures, while the destiny of the hungry ghosts, one of the 6 paths. Hungry ghosts have 3 characteristics: ravenous beings with distended bellies and tiny throats. Ghosts are masses of negative energy, which have shadow and no form, or form and no shadow. Ghosts like to hate. Hungry ghosts like to vent their tempers and get angry. If they are treated well, they get mad. If they are treated badly, they also get mad. They like to give people troubles. The state of hungry ghosts. Starved ghosts roam where greedy, selfish and deceitful souls are reborn. In the path of hungry ghosts, beings have ugly, smelly bodies, with bellies as big as drums, and throats as small as needles, while flames shoot out of their mouths. They are subject to hunger, and thirst for incalculable eons. If it was greed to be arrogant, that made the person commit offenses, then after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters gases, and he is called a hungry ghost. Ghosts are always deluded by effects, but confused about the cause. It is to say, ghosts are not clear about the effects, and they do not understand the causes. They cannot tell the difference between good and bad. According to Buddhism, if we plant good causes, we will receive good effects. If we plant bad causes, we will receive bad effects. If we plant cucumbers, we will receive cucumbers. If we plant beans, we will receive beans. However, hungry ghosts do not understand about the theories of causes and effects. They either plant hot peppers and anticipate receiving oranges, or they plant eggplant and anticipate receiving beans. They are totally deluded by effects and confused about causes. The more they have ignorance and upside-down views, the more ignorance they accumulate, the more offenses they commit, and the more karma they create. According to Mahayana Buddhist tradition, there are 9 classes of ghosts: burning torch-like ghosts, narrow needle-mouth ghosts, stinking mouth ghosts, needle-like hair ghosts, self-piercing, hair-sharp and stinking, or stinking hair ghosts. Ghosts of which bodies are full of tumors. Ghosts that haunt sacrifices to the dead. Ghosts that eat human leavings, which live on the remains of sacrifices, or any leavings in general. Rich ghosts, or powerful demons. Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pikasas, belong to the realm of Yama, whence they are sent everywhere. Consequently are ubiquitous in every house, lane, market, mound, stream, tree. According to the Surangama Sutra, the Buddha reminded Ananda as follows: Ananda, after the living beings who have slandered and destroyed rules and deportment, violated the Bodhisattva precepts, slandered the Buddha's nirvana, and created various other kinds of karma, passed through many kalpas of being burned in the inferno, they finally finish paying for their offenses, and are reborn as ghosts. Who was greed for lust, that made the person commit offenses. Then, after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters the wind, and he is called a drought ghost. Who was greed to lie, that made the person commit offenses. After he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters an animal, and he is called a May ghost. Who was greed for hatred, that made the person commit offenses. Then, after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters worms, and he is called a poison ghost. Who was greed for animosity, that made the person commit offenses. Then, after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters degeneration, and he is called a pestilence ghost. Who was greed to be arrogant, that made the person commit offenses. Then after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters gases, and he is called a hungry ghost. Who was greed to be unjust to others, that made the person commit offenses. Then after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters darkness, and he is called a paralysis ghost. Who was greed for views, that made the person commit offenses. Then, After he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters essential energy, and he is called a Wanliang ghost, who was greed for deception that made the person commit offenses. Then, after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters brightness, and he is called a servant ghost, who was greed to be litigious that made the person commit offenses. Then, after he has finished paying for his crimes, he takes shape when he encounters people, and he is called a messenger ghost. Also, according to the Sarangama Sutra, Book 8, the Buddha taught Ananda about 10 kinds of ghosts that will be reborn as an animal to continue to pay their debts as follows. Ananda, when his karma as a ghost is ended, the problem of emotion as opposed to discursive thought is resolved. At that point he must pay back in kind what he borrowed from others. To resolve those grievances, he is born into the body of an animal to repay his debts from past lives. These 10 kinds of ghosts include 1. The strange ghost, whose retribution of material objects is finished when the object is destroyed, and it is reborn in the world, usually as a species of owl. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as owls. If the craving be the cause of their misdeeds, they will, after paying for their sins, take the form of whatever they meet on living the hells. 2. The drought ghost, whose retribution of the drought ghost of the wind is finished when the wind subsides, and it is reborn in the world, usually as a species of weird creature, which gives inauspicious prognostications. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as unlucky creatures, who foretell misfortunes and calamities. The cause of their misdeeds is lust. 3. May ghost, animal ghost, whose retribution of an animal is finished when the animal dies, and it is reborn in the world, usually as a species of fox. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as foxes. The cause of their misdeeds is deceitfulness. 4. Noxious coup ghost, whose retribution in the form of worms is finished when the coup is exhausted, and it is reborn in the world, usually as a species of venomous creature. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as venomous creatures. Hate is the cause of their misdeeds. 5. Cruel ghost, whose retribution found in degeneration is finished when the degeneration is complete, and it is reborn in the world, usually as a species of tapeworm. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as tapeworms. The cause of their misdeeds is revengefulness. 6. Hungry, starved ghost, whose retribution takes shape in gases, is finished when the gases are gone, and it is then reborn in the world, usually as a species of eating animal. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as creatures good for food. The cause of their misdeeds is arrogance. 7. Nightmarish ghost, whose retribution of prolonged darkness is finished when the darkness ends, and it is then reborn in the world, usually as a species of animal, used for clothing or service. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as creatures who provide material for clothing. The cause of their misdeeds is fraud. 8. Naiads, whose retribution unites with energy is finished when the union dissolves, and it is then reborn in the world, usually as a species of migratory creature. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as creatures through whom the future can be foretold. The cause of their misdeeds is wrong views. 9. Servant ghost, whose retribution and intellect is finished when the brightness disappears, and it is then reborn in the world, usually as a species of auspicious creature. After expiating their misdeeds in their realms, are mostly reborn as auspicious creatures. The cause of their misdeeds is unfairness. 10. Messenger ghost, whose retribution relies on a person is finished when the person dies, and it is then reborn in the world, usually as a species of domestic animal, after repaying their former debts, are reborn as domestic animals. The cause of their misdeeds is disputation. Animals. Animals belong to one of the three evil paths. The nature of animals is greed. Since animals have no power of reasoning, no matter what it is, they want a whole lot of it. They are even greedy for something as filthy as human excrement. The more they eat, the more aromatic and savory they find it. This does not mention only animals. Any beings that are too greedy, because they do not know what is right and what is wrong, cannot distinguish between right and wrong, and do not have the ability to reason, even though they have the human body. They are considered animals in the Buddhist point of view. Thus we, human beings, must be very careful. If we are very greedy, we are in danger of turning into animals easily. Animals are stupid and benighted. They do not even know whether they are being led to a place to be slaughtered or to be fed, much less know anything else. They suffer from heat and cold. They are scorched to death in summer, frozen to death in winter. This is also one of the 6 forms of rebirth, and one of the 3 evil paths is rebirth as an animal in the human world. Beings who are reborn as animals suffer at the hands of hunters, trappers, and butchers, and by being forced to work as beasts of burden for farmers and merchants. Animals realm reserved for those souls who are dull-witted, depraved, or have committed fornication. The path of animals, such as buffaloes, cattle, donkeys and horses, is subject to heavy toil. Other domestic animals, such as goats, pigs, chicken and ducks, are subject to be killed to make food for human beings. Still other animals suffer from stupidity, living in filth, and killing one another for food. In the Surangama Sutra, Book 8, the Buddha reminded Ananda about the 10 kinds of animals that will be reborn as a human as follows. Ananda, if while repaying his past debts, by undergoing rebirth as an animal, such a living being pays back more than he owed, he will then be reborn as a human to rectify the excess. If he is a person with strength, blessings, and virtue, then once he is in the human realm, he will not have to lose his human rebirth after what is owed him is restored. But if he lacks blessings, then he will return to the animal realm to continue repaying his debts. Ananda, you should know that once the debt is paid, whether with money, material goods, or manual labor, the process of repayment naturally comes to an end. But if in the process he took the lives of other beings, or ate their flesh, then he continues in the same way, passing through kalpas as many as motes of fine dust, taking turns devouring, and being slaughtered in a cycle that sends him up and down endlessly. There is no way to put a stop to it, except through samatha, or through a Buddha's coming to the world. Ananda, these are all beings that have finished paying back former debts, and are born again in the human realm. They are involved in the beginningless scheme of karma and being upside down, in which their lives are spent killing one another, and being killed by one another. They do not get to meet the thus come one, or hear the proper dharma. They just abide in the wearisome dust, passing through a repetitive cycle. Such people can truly be called pitiful. These 10 kinds of animals include: when owls and their kind have paid back their debts, they regain their original form, and are born as people, but among those who are corrupt and obstinate. When creatures that are inauspicious have paid back their debts, they regain their original form, and are born as people, but among those who are abnormal. When foxes have paid back their debts, they regain their original forms, and are born as people, but among those who are simpletons. When creatures of the venomous category have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are born as people, but among those who are hateful. When tapeworms and their like have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are born as people, but among those who are lowly. When the edible types of creatures have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are reborn as people, but among those who are weak. When creatures that are used for clothing or service have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are reborn as people, but among those who do hard labor. When creatures that migrate have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are reborn as people among those who are literate. When auspicious creatures have paid back their debts, they regain their original form and are reborn as people among those who are intelligent, though who submit themselves to skillful people.